compared to the other top teams in Champions.
True enough. Well, here we go. Picks and bans for game number 2 between ESC Ever and MVP, and it's going to be the Rise ban to start things off with.
Banned on the blue side. Crazy's been playing a lot of top lane Rise, but it seems like after that misfired a couple of times, ESC aren't going to want to reach for it.
And the Nidalee ban. Okay, so MVP not wanting to give ESC the opportunity they had last game.
Made to see some pretty standard Nidalee Kindred bans on red side.
If you ban one jungler, you're kind of probably going to end up seeing the Kindred go along with it. There's the Swain for now, though.
Yeah, Swain and Vlad were both taken away in the ban phase, so we're going to see some more standard stuff banned. Yep, the Nidalee and the Kindred. So let's see if there's a reach for other champions. Varus, for example, was banned in game 1. ESC have always been an excellent team at playing around Varus, even with Athena in the lineup many months ago.
It's kind of interesting that both teams that banned Swain on the blue side is their second ban.
It's one of those situations where you don't consider it a first pick, but to have it first rotation as a package of 2 picks on the red side, it might be powerful in that right. Rek'Sai is actually banned. So we saw a control jungle ban from MVP on blue. That was Elise in game 1. Now we see the Rek'Sai ban by Ever.
So the jungle's getting really restricted now.
They're basically saying, we're going to first pick Elise. How do you feel about that?
I wonder if MVP is going to ban the Elise then.
Banned it on blue side. If they ban it on red, there will be a lot of power picks, specifically in the mid lane of Ever. So Vlad or Elise seems to be the story. And given that particular decision, MVP choose to ban Vlad, you have to heavily expect Elise as a first pick for Blast.
Probably. I mean, Beyond still has access to the Graves, I guess, so there's still a decent jungler out there. It's not, you know, you don't have to go down into like the Lee Sin territory, I suppose, but it will be that Elise first pick for ESC.
That means that Varus, one of those champions again that was banned in game 1, will be probably taken on the red side by MVP. They tried to run Varus in the Challenger Final, game 5, but were unseated in that particular game. The Graves you mentioned definitely is available. I've been surprised to see so much Graves play recently. I felt like because of his farm-centric build, he wouldn't be so suitable in a meta where fighting for early Drakes is very important. We see ADD flashing the Alawi. That's a 6-11, 6-12 pick, not so much the current patch, so a future one there.
Look at this, so Ashe and Varus locked in for MVP. Now, Varus was banned against MVP in game number 1, but Ian will get the chance to play it here in game 2, and that's already a good amount of CC and a good amount of poke coming out from MVP.
Still a lot of different options available for laning into the Ashe. Caitlyn is a possibility, although Ashe actually does pretty well in that matchup, and obviously you could go for something more lane dominant.
So if you're ESC right now, can you just go like Maokai, Karma or something and just go pick comp? Because you see
Bard is also available.
Yeah, that's true.
It isn't Key on the lineup. It would have to be Totoro on the Bard. He doesn't have quite the mechanics of Key on that champion, but Bard definitely makes a lot of sense. When you see fairly immobile carries, you know, they're going to be in the back line that could have a huge meat shield in front of them. Bard is one of the few supports that can really interact with them well.
Yeah. That's what I'm saying, is you see the Ashe and the Varus, and it kind of makes you want to go all in on a pick comp, doesn't it?
Could even see, and we're not going to see a full pick comp though, because although Azir can function in a pick like function, you know, it's not quite LeBlanc when it comes to a true pick champion.
Right.
Varus is considered one of the best laning matchups into Azir. We're still going to see Azir picked up.
Now, among the junglers in Korea, there's been a lot of Gragas played on the ladder on solo queue, but there hasn't really been any, I think. Maybe one game played in LCK so far? I don't think any. I
think we've seen one, and we've seen a top lane Gragas as well. Gragas in the jungle, you know, kind of fell away as the carry jungle meta came out, but as the carry jungle meta is kind of starting to wane outside of games like game 1 of this series, there is room for him to be a flex pick in both the top lane and the jungle, which could still be the reality here. You don't need to draft your top laner just now, so flex pick Gragas may be the reality for MVP.
Are you worried about ESC possibly getting the Maokai? I guess not if you pick the Echo.
So they're going to take away that flex. We'll just go for the lane control. You know, Maokai versus Echo is a matchup that perhaps we will see the back of as of the end of today, but it's very much an established one. Maokai has the advantage in the teleport plays, and Echo has the laning pressure advantage. Also usually does more damage. ESC flashing the Amumu. You look at this MVP comp. I mean, you could put an Amumu in here.
You could, and it would not be the first time.
Ran Ashe and Mumu when they did run it last time.
Yep, that's true.
The dream is alive.
I think ESC kind of saying, all right, we know. But if they do that, you got to imagine Bless is just going to get aggressive in the jungle with the Elise and go try to shut down that Amumu early.
We thought that when we saw MVP run it, but of course, if you remember back to that game, it was beyond actually winning the MVP and getting 100% kill participation in the early game. So I think there's only an outside chance of the Amumu, but it does exist.
Oh boy.
They're going to flash it.
I'd love to see it. I think it'd be awesome. I think the cat's out of the bag now, and I think ESC kind of knows how to handle it, but we'll see. The Gragas, I mean, could certainly contribute to the pick potential for this team as well.
Also, the Gragas ultimate is great to just push people away from Ashe and Varus in particular. So disengage-wise, they don't have access to something like the Trundle Pillar, so you do have that flexibility of the cast, both of bouncing people towards you and away.
That is true. I mean, I suppose technically Amumu can get on the people that are trying to go and kill his AD carry in mid and let them get some free damage, but it is going to be the Gragas.
And when you have this identity, you're going to have the lane pushing advantage in the top side against the Trundle. As the matchup goes on, Trundle definitely does have great trading options, but it's very much going to be pressure on the top side and then grouping up and sieging. That's what Varus and Ashe can do so well. And they're going to have the Gragas to just be there as a goalkeeper, keep the ultimate, use it to bounce people away. They can get an early structure advantage, and they have a very strong duo lane. There is good harass from specifically the Karma. Very going to be a very different game, an interesting one, and both comps definitely low on the engage front. They can engage. Ashe, of course, has the arrow. You can make crazy plays with ESC, but I think both teams fight better kiting backwards, specifically around an objective. So just has been the story in this particular patch. Expect to see a lot of Drake focus, and whichever team can start to monopolize those is in a big advantage strategically as we roll on.
Very true. ESC Ever versus MVP. ESC with a chance to tie things up. And MVP actually looking like they may be in a good spot to take their first match win of the season. And if they can do it in a 2-0 fashion, that would be pretty impressive.
Would definitely be a bold statement. It would be a worrying trend and a worrying time for ESC Ever, who would have lost 3 matches on the trot with that one.
Sure enough. All right, well, one of these teams has to get the win. What's it going to be, ESC Ever or MVP? Will it be a tie series? If ESC Ever takes this one, or MVP, will they close it out 2-0? Let's get in the game and find out. All right. Are you kidding me? Really? Really, game? You're going to do this to us again? All right. ESC Ever versus MVP. Game number 2. And, of course, it's a Cloud Drake. I swear, there's, like, a hidden feature in the game that makes it a Cloud Drake the first time every time.
Do you not like the Drake bounty we have bestowed upon you, Doa?
It's a lot of Cloud Drakes, man. That's all I've been seeing.
Head in the clouds, huh?
I guess. Or a cloud in the rift. Who knows? Oh. Crazy. Once again on that Trundle.
You think back to game 1, remember, ESC pulled off that very creative level 1 play where
Very true.
they were able to pick up the kill, which of course, over the course of the game didn't amount to much, but was a nice little adaptation, so we'll have to pay close attention. There's going to be lane swap initiated by ESC, and for now at least, MVP looks like lane swap will be achieved.
So, who really wants the lane swap in this scenario?
I feel like it's an interesting one because Echo usually benefits the most out of turrets being down just because he can apply so much pressure and he's very safe, able to dash away in most scenarios. So I like Echo when turrets are down, but Trundle to some degree can also, depending on his ability to freeze, get a big advantage doing that. In the mid lane, we're going to see an isolated matchup, and Varus actually does very well in the 1v1, so I guess a very slight advantage to MVP. You could also say in the jungle matchup, Beyond and the Gragas specifically loses out 1v1 against the Elise, so he will also get a bit of advantage being hidden or shadowed by the top laner and the jungle follow, so very slight advantage to MVP in terms
All
of
right,
lane swaps.
so you're saying MVP is going to win. I'll hold you to that.
Yeah,
then.
exactly.
Your
MVP
prediction has been noted.
ESC with the lane swap have condemned themselves to defeat, is what
There
I'm
you
saying.
go. All right, got it. It's over. Okay, whoa, nice binding there from Totoro onto Beyond and ADD. That's annoying to deal with.
I don't know how
Cosmic binding, man.
I don't know how Key feels watching Totoro play Bard.
Well, Key probably gave him a lot of tips, I'd imagine. Looks like it's going to be gank in the mid lane.
Oh,
the flash
he got it!
Binding onto Ian. There's the exhaust, and the first blood goes over to Tempt. And he's going to live through it too. Cocoon now onto Max as he has to flash away. ADD not able to get a lot done, and he's going to back off. So ESC with a great early gank. Man, that was a really nice play from Totoro. And you just asked, how do you think Key feels about him on the Bard? I think he's feeling pretty good about it right now.
It's just not the sort of play you expected for MVP, because once again, Totoro's not known for his roam plays. He's much more of a laning-focused support. So to go for such an aggressive flash Cosmic Binding, trusting that the fact that it would go through to a minion and hit onto Ian, it was super successful. Ian's gone greedy with the summoner spells, going for double mobility, Ghost and Flash. Didn't have heal.
True.
Probably would have survived if he had heal, so well punished. And really nice roam from Totoro.
Absolutely. And the lane swap will continue, so turrets in top and bottom are going to go down.
2 games in a row, ESC find an early kill in the lane swap. This one very different to how they got it in game 1, but getting Azir a kill advantage in a lane that actually goes pretty damn well for the Varus. It's good times for Tempt. We'll hold on to his cleanse as well.
Yep. That does help. So Ian doesn't really get behind on CS at all, but he will need to be careful. You know, now that the summoners are down, they can camp that lane even more.
Varus is definitely mobile. 80 carry in the mid lane, so it's definitely someone who can be zerged down. Elise has a lot of different creative pathing options and also has flash available still, so kill pressure in mid, especially as we roll on to Azir's level 6, is going to be very high.
Yeah, very true. So, how well is ADD going to be able to do in this lane swap? Might be a little bit tough. He's just going to back off. And recall, too. So I wonder if they're going to try to swap it up again.
Does seem likely. The fact that he's recalling. Didn't have a lot of mana, but because he was full health, you're expecting him to join his team. And yeah, that's really what's been called by MVP. They will try to go once again for the mirror turret takes.
Yep. And beyond on this Gragas, too. Not a pick we've seen a lot of in Korea. We've seen it in other regions pretty commonly. But for whatever reason, the Korean players just not wanting to pick it up quite as much.
Just one of those natural extensions of the jungle meta going towards control junglers. A lot of, you can really compare Gragas and Lee Sin as champions based on their kits. You know, both of them have a lot of maneuverability. Both of them have the ability to displace, and Gragas hasn't been favored so far in Korea, but we'll see some play now.
Yep. Well, Wes takes his anger out on the Rift Scholar. I can't blame him, though. That thing annoys me, too.
The Rift Coward.
Yeah. Why can't it fight back? Come on. And maybe, as we look at the minimap, Les can find an angle onto Ian before his summoners come back up. He's got Ghost again. I don't know.
Especially if Tempt is moving towards level 6, they could try a really creative turret dive that I think has a good degree of success.
True.
But there is always that risk associated with it.
Ah, so the Cloud Drake will go over to ESC Ever. Maybe. Ian could come down, but no, just not safe enough, of course. So he's going to be a gank on the Tempt in the mid lane. He's going to see it coming a mile away, though, and get out without any issue.
Do see them walking over. They will spot it out. 1,600 health on the Dragon. They're falling low, though.
Yeah, and actually, here comes MVP. Dragon does go over to ESC, and MVP not able to really catch anybody. So, good for Ever, first Dragon. Imagine if it is Cloud Drake.
And the magical journey just meant they could hug the backside of the pit and get out safely. Didn't spot what the next one is. Will we continue Cloud Drake only?
Maybe. We did have one Infernal Drake last game, so I suppose it's okay.
Was the 4th Drake spawn of the game, though, so it was very much a Johnny-come-lately Infernal Drake.
Dragon come lately?
Drake come lately.
Drake? Oh, yeah.
So you were telling me during the break you actually watched Hotline Bling for the first time.
I did. I had never seen it, but you know, I've heard the kids are really into Drake, and well, I don't know. I found it kind of boring, actually.
Wow.
I don't know. It was about a guy who used to receive a lot of phone calls from someone who fancied him.
On his cell phone.
On his cell phone specifically, yep. Not his landline. Ocean Drake next. But then she stopped calling, and he wondered what had become of her, and was inspired to write this song.
So now I'm actually inspired to have you record a William Shatner-style spoken word version of Hotline Bling.
I don't know if I can pause that many times when I'm speaking. If that works.
OGN Legion, tweet at Doa. Encourage him to do a spoken language version of
What about
Hotline
like
Bling.
a freeform jazz poetry slam version where I'm like snapping my fingers a lot, you know?
I could get into that too, sure.
I'll see what I can do. Oh, chains immediately. Whoa, okay then. Noped right out of that one. He cleansed out of the chains of corruption, thought he could maybe make a play, and then decided that making a play was not what he wanted to do.
I've never seen someone extend their Azir Sec play backwards again. He went forward and back.
We have seen some hilarious Azir stuff in this series.
It's a love letter to Azir as we perhaps kind of cement his exit from the competitive mid lane champion pool.
I guess. He doesn't look that strong in these games, though. We sure he needs a nerf?
I mean, if we see Faker playing Azir next series, I think he will confirm the need for a nerf.
That's true.
Somehow I doubt that he'll get access to Azir, but stranger things have happened.
Yeah, Faker's played Azir for most of the games SKT has had this season, so it'll be interesting to see what he starts to change to a bit more.
Yeah, the first 4 games they played, as a stat I'll repeat during that broadcast, were Azir Ezreal, every game.
Yep, that's right. Yeah, Faker has 4 games on Azir, and then the last 2 are on Anivia, so no doubt he's got a lot of picks that we have not seen. We'll definitely start seeing those next week as 6-11 comes in.
The furthest away from a one-trick, Faker.
Yeah, man. He's got, like, more tricks than a whole Magician's Conference.
Sure.
He's got more tricks than the X Games, dude.
I like it.
He's got more tricks than an entire cereal factory.
Okay.
Oh, Ash Arrow onto Totoro. He's already a little bit low. Flash body slam from beyond, gets exhausted, and Totoro gets out somehow, some way. That was a narrow escape from the Bard.
That's a really impressive exhaust. Doesn't sound like a thing that you really comment on, but the exhaust onto Beyond stopped the guaranteed damage from the Drunken Rage auto attack from killing him. He gets away even from the volley auto attack from Maha, so just survives. The key-esque Bard mechanics really on full display from Totoro.
Yeah.
He doesn't randomly die in the enemy jungle as much either. So watching the top lane. ADD, as you mentioned before, has been zoned away from farm for a lot of it, but will pick some up in a pretty big item hole compared to Tiamat and Spectre's Cowl from Crazy, though.
In the meantime, silence. And a bit of a lull in the action as we wait for the Ocean Drake to spawn. Totoro leaves some healing flowers or whatever for attempt.
I miss the hot cups of cocoa, Doa.
I do too. So I prefer.
How do you feel about Mad Life still sticking with the River Nami skin that you know and love so much?
Oh man, dude, we had plenty of Nami picks, but nobody dared bring River Spirit Nami into it until Mad Life. But so this is one of the rare occasions where I'll forgive him because it's Mad Life, and I will eternally love Mad Life and his bloodthirsty support play. So it's fine.
So would you say you're showing caster bias?
Absolutely, and that's totally fine.
Fair enough.
But I'm biased towards feelings about caster bias. I admit.
As long as you admit your biases, it's fine.
Yeah, sure. Or wear them proudly.
SKT Doa.
Not yet, but maybe someday. I'll work on it. Oh, Ian finds Bless. Oh, Chains of Corruption just completely whiff. That hurts.
He popped Ghost as well to try and chase down the kill after registering the CC, then had to back away. So awkward interaction there from Ian.
Even more awkward when you consider it's about 20 seconds until Dragon comes up, and if MVP wants to contest that at all, that ultimate would have been something that would have been nice to have.
I mean, his back timer also is not the greatest at 10 seconds before the Dragon spawns, as you mentioned. Azir pinged it out, so they know that Varus is going to be horribly out of position if they are to start this Dragon on spawn.
Well, they've got bot lane pushed up too. I think they can just go for it. Yeah, they think so too. Well, Ashe checks it with the arrow, of course, or with the hawk shot. Magic hawk.
Want to push in the minion wave in mid lane as well. They can start it now. They are grouped and in position. Varus only now getting to mid lane and wants to cut those minions first, although, as you can see on the mini-map, it's going to come over.
Yep, Beyond thinking about trying to come in and steal this, and he can't quite do it. Yes, he gets their second Dragon of the game. ADD teleports in, takes a lot of damage immediately. Crazy jumping on top of Totoro there, too. He's going to ultimate back for a bit more health. Meanwhile, the brawl by the Dragon Pit. MVP getting poked up pretty hard. ADD gets exhausted, but finally gets back near his team. This has been not a great fight yet. Tempt goes for the Azir set, can't get it, still gets the kill anyway. Max gives him a double kill, and now Crazy chasing ADD, forcing the flash to get over that pillar, and in the end, ESC comes out ahead in that skirmish by quite a bit.
ESC makes the most of what is actually a pretty hairy situation, because if you notice, Totoro was on the flank for the majority. We're going to see the replay here. Totoro decided to commit to stopping ADD instead of helping the 3-man, and this 3-man can't get over the wall. So they're in this awkward spot where they need to apply pressure onto ADD, otherwise the 4 members from MVP just run at ESC Ever and fight 4v3. But so they managed to do that, even though Temp doesn't manage to hit a big Azir sec play. He gets damage in, they pick up some kills. Crazy can't chase down, he's still Trundle, so we won't get any bonus kills out of that, but it could have gone a lot worse. It's just that Totoro committed to not just sticking around and being someone to give a magical journey to the team, and that commitment stopped the teleport flank and did end up ensuring and securing kills and an objective for ESC.
Yeah, very true. That's a 3,000 gold lead already in 14 minutes, and they may be able to take out this mid lane turret as well. It's going to be low at least. Doesn't look like they'll get it right now. Ooh, Beyond is not very tanky.
Basically, he knew the minion wave. The next one will be quite far behind, so he gave up basically his whole life bar to stop the turret going down this wave.
Yep. But ESC has really good wave clear, so they're right back onto the turret again. They're going to get it. Tempered Fate catches Maha. Crazy with the pillar right there in the slow. Maha fires the Ash Arrow back onto Loken. Gets very low. Loken, of course, able to get out of that Ash Arrow, and Maha barely escapes with his life. Turret does go over to Ever, though.
And the objective lead's really starting to get pretty stark between these two teams. 3 outer turrets, also 2 dragons, all over to ESC. They have the kills as well, so apart from the 2 turrets they swapped during the extended lane swap, there's been no joy for MVP.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't really think things are going to get much easier from here on out.
You have champions like Azir and Bard that can really impact your position. If they can stick pink wards around objectives, it's going to be that much more difficult for MVP to contest. This is the team. This is the sort of team comp that fights so well in the mid lane when they have a turret behind them, because they can just walk up. Trundle and Gragas can stand in the front, and you just auto attack and poke away with Ashe and Varus. If you're fighting in areas where you don't have complete vision, where Azir can make a play, where Bard can make a play, where Trundle Pillar, when your flashes are down, can really hold you back. It's so much more tough to navigate for MVP when they're behind, specifically on a comp like this, and behind is probably the nicest way to put how one-sided ESC have been in the early game.
Yeah. And how much of a bummer would it be for MVP to win that first game and then lose 2 in a row? That would be very MVP of them, though.
They much feel like an emo teenager when they keep getting advantages and just having them all be taken away at the last.
Oh, is that what it's like to be an emo teenager?
I don't really know. I wasn't an emo teenager.
I wasn't either. I was pretty well adjusted. I was a fairly happy dude.
You do strike me as someone that's always been pretty happy with their surroundings and their scenarios.
More or less. Good enough.
MVP just desperate for that first 2-0, but so far, so good for ESC. It's stopping that from happening.
Oh, Beyond, force of flash, Tempt misses again.
Chains of Corruption.
Yeah, Chains of Corruption comes in, but no follow-up. That's a follow-up. Wow, Gragas Barrel gets the kill for MVP Max, able to finish that one off. And now Ian chasing down Loken, who gets slowed. He's not going to make it out. Ian picks up a kill, and suddenly MVP turning this all around. They're chasing Totoro. ADD going deep, but I don't think he can quite catch that bar. No, he can't. And so, 2 kills for MVP. They're still behind in gold, but if they can start getting a couple objectives off of this, they can maybe start to come back in this game.
They need to try and push down a turret. That was a really, really good Gragas cask from Beyond to bounce both carries into the welcoming arms of ESC. They get 2 kills. Taking this turret's not going to be trivial, though. It's still full health, and a couple of auto attacks, and they have to back away. So it's just kills for MVP, but it buys them a reprieve, because that definitely felt like a game where ESC had the control. They were pushing up more and more aggressive warding. There was an air of inevitability just 2 minutes ago, but those kills do open things up a little bit.
Yep, very true. So Maha hanging out in the top lane, getting a good amount of farm too. He's been able to keep up with Loken. But it really does seem like MVP is going to need to find these picks, and they're going to need to keep finding those picks to get objectives and eventually get the win.
They have tools to do that. Maha is on point with the Ash arrows. The chaining of the Ash arrow into either Chains of Corruption or the Gragas ultimate means that you can separate threats and get the first kill. And in a 5v4 scenario, they do fight very comfortably or siege like crazy with the Varus Ash. So win condition does exist for MVP. Gold still about 3,000 advantage, but it is closing a little bit with the gold being passed over with those kills.
Next dragon coming up right now. This could be a big one. If MVP can secure this and maybe win a team fight, and it is a Mountain Drake, so that's also very big for MVP. Big for both teams. But this could be a turning point in the game if MVP can make the right plays. ESC needs to be ready.
Yeah, we will see a full commitment from MVP, you'd think, around this dragon, although if they can get a free objective first, they'll feel great.
Well, they're going to get some damage done, though. Here comes a flank from Crazy coming from the side. Cocoon on to Beyond. He's going to body slam away. And there's a Tempered Fate on the Max. No follow-up, though. They get the flash. Beyond backing away. Oh, Chains of Corruption from Ian do not connect. And ADD on his own now. This is not going well for MVP. And that's going to be another dragon now for ESC Ever.
It's the 3rd time, though, that Tempt has missed the play with his ultimate. Didn't register on anyone. MVP tried to get greedy, get a bonus objective, then look to the Mountain Drake, but the Mountain Drake's been started.
Yeah, MVP coming back down anyway. Here's the teleport now from ADD. He was able to get the recall in. Goes in onto Loken and Tempt. Loken very low, tries to flash away. That Sniper's so low, though, and there's a kill for Ian as he goes deep, gets the double, and now backs away. He's going to finally get taken out by Bless, but a win for MVP already as ADD zones out the jungler. Crazy cannot make it out of the fight, and that is exactly what MVP was looking for.
It was a really nice re-engage as well. ADD just channeled his recall. I thought, oh, it's just going to be a free dragon for ESC. No, they had a nice aggressive ward. The play comes in through for ADD. He's not Maokai when it comes to those teleport engages, but already had Iceborne Gauntlet. Really put the parallel convergence in a nice spot. Even though he gave up his whole health bar, it gave time for specifically Ian to ghost and frontline as Varus. But with the more Malmortius shield popping, it was enough. And that was surprising aggression from a Varus, that champion that's usually skulking around the back of a fight.
He got right in there, didn't he?
That's the most aggressive Varus we've seen.
Let's check that out. Let's just...
The last time we saw aggressive Varus was, I believe, Mickey just going mad in a previous series. So ADD just buys time. He puts down the Iceborne Golem, gets a couple of procs, parallel convergence comes through, and Ian, ultra frontline, ghost flashes into the front line to fight. And you see the more Malmortius shield pops. He does eventually die, but everyone's kind of surprised from ESC. They realize they have to turn onto the Varus, and by the time that happens, they're in a great position to just chain the CC. You can't get away from Ash with her consistent slow.
Tempered Fate on the Maha. And can they follow up? Nice Cosmic Binding, but Totoro gets caught with the Chains of Corruption, and just like that, another kill for MVP.
Yeah, and we also see the cancelled late teleport as well from Crazy, so ESC look for a pick, they don't get much at all, and suddenly things kind of falling apart for ESC Ever.
Well, MVP is still about 3,000 gold down, so they're still fighting from a deficit, but in the last 5 minutes, they've really been the better team fighting team, and getting that Mountain Drake is big for catching up on objectives.
in a couple of different ways, because you look at a Varus Ashe comp, and obviously you can go, oh, 10% more damage to structures. This is a team that sets up around turrets well. That's a really big buff, but honestly, it's actually a team with not the best Baron damage. So they have the Gragas and Echo, so actually the Baron damage will also be relevant as well with 280 carries and taking something like the Baron. So
True.
In multiple different ways, they're really going to appreciate that Mountain Drake.
Yeah. Well, the top laners fighting it out in the bot lane. Looks like MVP going to make another attempt at the mid lane turret, and they do get a good amount of damage done.
Yeah, a lot of the standing gold will be answered when they take this out of mid lane turret.
Yeah. Very true.
They won game 1 specifically after they got that mid lane turret from Maokai getting that excellent teleport flank. So that's the sort of vision that's only able to be gotten by taking out the mid lane turret. That's why you see MVP returning to it again and again and just inching towards taking out mid lane outer turret.
Yeah. The one thing we haven't mentioned is just how far behind Crazy ADD is in CS. He is way down, but he's been able to get a kill. He's been able to get some assists as well, and he's certainly made a difference on this Echo despite not having anywhere near as much CS.
We saw him make the difference on the Maokai with that teleport flank, despite, at least at the start, having to go Boots of Swiftness and roam around trying to find farm in any lane possible. So playing from behind, ADD's been pretty impressive this series.
Well, especially when you think he's 2 levels down right now. You would not know that from watching the last couple team fights, would you?
I mean, you watched the last team fight, and that was really nice teleport play from Echo. He got a lot of damage and slowdown, but he only had an Iceborne Gauntlet, so he did die very quickly. It just lasted long enough. He wasn't Maokai, he wasn't Undying, but he did his job. He knew his role, and so if he's able to play into his disadvantage, understand that this is what I can get done with the level disadvantage, this is what I can get done with my item build, it just shows that next level smartness of a top laner, because we've seen top laners play as if they're an immortal tank when in reality they've been starved of gold and just die in the backline. ADD balanced it just right, and that's good to see, and it's a good sign for him in particular.
True. And now MVP pushing around the Baron pit, getting a lot of vision in. And I gotta say, despite being down some gold, they really look like they're in control of this game at the moment.
Setting up well, as you mentioned, if they can get the pink wards. We already said they have pick potentials with Ashe, Varus, and Gragas. Good single target damage too from 280 carries.
Yep.
The fact that they don't have that mid lane turret down is really the one thing that's holding them from having a full court press when it comes to pressure.
Yeah. There we go. Wow, flash body slam into the big barrel from Gragas. Temp taken out nearly immediately. Bless extremely low too. What an engage from MVP. Beyond was our MVP for game number 1, and he's certainly looking at for game 2. Looks like they're going to head over to Baron. Teleport bringing ADD in there already from the bot lane, and they're going to go for it.
And this is sort of assertive Gragas play that's possible, but we haven't seen in so long. He's looking Lee Sin-esque with these aggressive plays. Baron down to 5,000.
All right, well, Tempered Fate only hits ADD in the Baron. They're going to turn onto Totoro immediately, get that flash out. Back onto the Baron now. This is risky. Here comes Loken. He can do a ton of damage with those bouncing blades, but MVP gets the Baron, and ESC cannot find the fight they were looking for.
You see the interrupt from Crazy on 2, but watch the replay, and this is an Azir turret here, so he doesn't care. It is effectively a turret dive, but the chaining from MVP is beautiful. See the Ashe arrow into the cask, Tempt eventually dies. 2 members die for free, including the jungler, and that's why MVP made the good call.
Yeah.
Jungler dead, let's take Baron, and although there's some harass available for ESC, the objective comes down, and now MVP, Mountain Drake, and the Baron buff suddenly setting up under enemy turrets, looking pretty damn good.
Well, the timing from Maha's Ashe arrow was just perfect too, in that when the Gragas barrel, when the explosive cask hit from beyond, the characters that were being bounced back were being affected by the Ashe arrow at the same time, so they just could do nothing.
I think we have to really, we called out Maha as one of the players we were least sure about on this lineup. He had a very poor promotion series play on specifically the Sivir, but in general. And Loken's someone we've hyped up, and Maha's been really reliable this series. Hasn't died yet in 2 games, and the Ashe arrows have been on point.
Very true. Well, that one missed, but other than that, it was pretty good. They're just going to siege here and push ESC off the turret for the moment. See how much they can do. But yeah, you're right, and I think putting Maha on a champion like Ashe and just having him stay way back and just engage from a distance is probably a good way to sort of work around his shortcomings that we've seen in the past as AD carry.
In general, he seems to have addressed some of his laning issues. And look, he's not going to become a world beater overnight, but he's looking better.
Fair enough. All right. There goes the turret. Tempered Fate thrown down. They hit Ian with it. Any engage? ADD ults to get a little bit of health back as they take that tier 2 turret. Gets slowed by the pillar. Beyond comes back in, helps him pick up the kill onto Bless. Ian with a lot of damage coming out of that Varus. And ADD, the caster minions don't quite finish him off. The dragon's up.
MVP got so greedy. ADD gave up his whole health bar, tanking the last few shots just to get the last damage onto that inner turret. It did work.
And look at this. Now suddenly, MVP going from about, what, they were, I think, like 5,000 down at one point, now to about 3,000, 2,000 or so up. What a comeback from MVP. The team fighting has been very good in Game 2.
And again, you know, people will look at this series, they'll use words like Clown Fiesta, they'll talk about the quality of the teams. You just have to say with MVP in particular, when it clicks for this team, you know, when they took that assertive Baron in Game 1, when it changed in Game 2, the momentum especially, they've looked really strong. So that's a foundation they can build on. Both these teams have decent building blocks, whether it's talent, whether it's certain players or certain areas. It's just overall the picture isn't there. But it's nice to see that at least MVP, when they get ahead, you know, compared to specifically that KT series where they kind of meandered too long and ended up losing in heartbreaking fashion, they looked a lot more cleaner when ahead in this game.
Yeah. Well, I think we're starting to see that Beyond is a pretty good jungler and a unique jungler in this league as well, in that he can play characters that a lot of other people right now in LCK aren't touching, like the Amumu, like the Gragas. So it's interesting to see.
And the standard line from basically everyone who paid attention to Challenger was that Beyond is legit good. This guy is a top jungler who's just playing in Challenger at the moment. He was a rookie at the time. I mean, you can't argue with that. He's had some games where MVP have just been taken down as a team, but his individual plays, especially on this series, have been wonderful to watch.
Yeah, for sure. His engages on Gragas have been extremely good.
Well, we've seen a lot of rookie junglers come through in the last year, even Ambition and Score coming through as junglers last year, and then this year, people like Haru and Bubbling all debuting. It's the aggression that's impressive to track. Like Beyond will go for the plays that aren't safe, that are risky but have high upside, and he makes them work.
Cocoon on to Beyond now. No follow-up as MVP tries to siege this tier 2 turret a little bit.
I mean, it's no fun sieging against both Azir and Sivir, so they'd be more behoved to split their forces, but if they do that, then Bard can certainly make some big plays with the magical journeys. So MVP have to be pretty careful. They're strongest as a 4-man, 5-man group. It's just the wave clear is also strong on ESC's side, so getting picks is what they really want to do before they set up for this siege.
Yeah. ADD, of course, getting sent back to that bottom lane. He's got the teleport. He can join.
Arrow.
Whoa, Asher onto Temp. Beyond comes in for another engage, but the timing's a little bit off, and Temp able to get out in time.
I mean, Cleanse is down.
That is true. They do get the Summoner.
He didn't want to use it, but the moment he saw the Gragas sliding towards him, he had to commit to using the Cleanse.
I suppose.
The items are in a really good spot for MVP. All their power spikes have been hit. You can see Temp still working on his third item, whereas MVP, Ian in particular, has a pretty cheap build path, so he's doing just fine. Probably has some gold to spend now as well.
Yeah.
Not easy to make a dual tank team work against Trundle, but so far so good because they're the ones making the picks. It's not someone like Echo diving in the front, having his resist shredded and dying to focus fire. No, it's been about MVP splitting threats with specifically the arrow into the cask, but so far it's been really great to watch from the combo of Beyond and Maha.
Yeah, I mean, they've got the Chains of Corruption on top of all that as well. It looked a little bit iffy at first, but they made it work for the last 15 minutes or so.
Tanks trading.
Yep. ADD trying to split push as best he can.
Wait, look at this build from Maha. Third item, Frozen Mallet.
Wow. Huh. It's different. It's a little bit different.
Those stacking's in a weird spot, so I'm not really sure what to think of that.
Yeah.
Make sure it's not a visual bug. I've been tricked by those before.
It does happen once in a while.
It is crazy that I have to think about that. Basically, if we see Ashe and she has a lot of health, then it's probably a Frozen Mallet.
Yep, that's true. That's a good point. Well, MVP just kind of biding their time until the next Baron comes up, until, you know, maybe the next Dragon comes up here too. Seems like they've got the edge in team fights for the moment, and it really feels like MVP has gained confidence in their ability to out-team fight ESC Ever at this point.
It's been 3 clean team fights in a row, so definitely can't complain from an MVP perspective.
True.
ADD not interested in fighting with Crazy, so just going to proxy waves, I guess.
Can't blame him.
It also means that he's going to have the clean teleport and doesn't have to worry about Trundle interrupting us. This is actually exactly where ADD wants to be.
Yeah.
He's both controlling the waves and opening himself up.
As MVP sets up for that next Baron too, which is up. They've got the wards.
Ash Arrow
coming through. It hits Bless. Where's the engage? Chains of Corruption. There it is. Here comes ADD. Immediately they blow up Totoro. And that's a good start. Crazy kind of on his own. He used the teleport to come in. He gets locked up for the moment, taking a lot of damage. Tempt actually knocked back in. He's going to zone his. He's going to get taken out. And this is a great fight for MVP. ADD going really deep, but his entire team is there to support him. And that's another kill for Ian. And they may be able to just go ahead and take an inhibitor right here. They don't even need the Baron.
And MVP, the Amumu game, and now the Gragas game. This team is the master of the Wombo combo,
they
apparently,
really are.
Because when they get these Wombo comps, and you didn't initially look at this comp as a Wombo comp. It looked more like setting up for sieging and then peeling with the Gragas ultimate, but no. It's been Ash Arrow into aggressive casks, and those aggressive casks have so far blown open the game for MVP.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, seeing a team that looks very good team fighting late game, you know, based on big engages from the jungler. It kind of reminds me of like CJ Frost a couple of years ago, you know?
It's really
MVP
fun.
Going for this Baron, and Tempered Fate only hitting the Baron. They move on to Bless immediately. He's going to come right back down. Jumps over to the Rift Scuttler though. Sivrel used by Loken. That's not going to really gain them anything. MVP though takes enough that they were able to, or they weren't able to take the Baron.
It was successful from Bless. He stopped the Baron play come through. Didn't have to use his flash, and Ian got so low from tanking the last few shots at the Baron that they have to back away.
True. Another Mountain Drake spawns, and Ever takes this opportunity to go for a bit of a desperation Baron. I really can't blame them at this point.
They know that 2 members have recalled, so this is a good move. Beyond can look for the steal, though.
They're going to try it. ADD goes on to Tempt in the back. Beyond goes in. He wants to steal this Baron away.
He gets it!
He got it! He stole the Baron from ESC Ever. Still may go down, but here's Maha coming from behind. 3 kills already in this fight. Crazy goes down, and it's all MVP. Maha, we've criticized his positioning in the past, but man, has he looked good on that Ashe. ADD trying to chase down Bless, who just dies to the minions anyway, so no problem there. And I believe that should probably be the end of the game, as that mid inhibitor turret is down, and MVP able to just push in for the victory.
Both junglers smited, but Beyond's rang true. It was far too early from Bless, and Beyond really looking to argue for the double MVP. A play like that probably cements it. Really nice from MVP.
Yep.
The Wombo play is so cool from them. They go for the style points as well, and congratulations MVP. It is your first win as an organization, and your second stint in the LCK.
That's right. So MVP picks up their first match win of the season. And yeah, it is over ESC Ever, but that second game, I really feel like once this team gets it together a little bit more, the ability that they have to team fight, engage with Beyond is pretty scary. It's something other teams need to respect.
And every time we see them, they try something different. Their first series they played, it was the Lucian mid lane and the Twitch AD carry. We saw the Amumu comp from them. Now we see the aggressive Gragas initiation pick comp. And look, some of them are successful, some of them less successful.
Yeah. But
we're moving on to 6-11. We're moving on to a world where the meta has changed, and I'm excited to see what MVP have to bring with a new bag of tricks.
That's right. Well, the first game of the series was pretty messy, but the second one made up for it, I think. MVP looking